Our next speaker will be Tomasz Manugiewicz. Tomasz, actually, you got a CV or resume that I can only be jealous about, and probably many people can be really jealous about your professional life. So Tomasz is an agile coach. He has worked in several places like Vienna, Toronto, or Isle of Man. He's an University of Science and Technology lecturer. He's a passionate engineer, and Tomasz, you made a really you have a very good moment for your presentation, because we have the 20th anniversary of Agile Manifesto this year. And by the way, the 10th anniversary of the first Agile Swarming Conference. So for all of you listening, please remember to use Slack to submit any questions or comments to Tomasz's presentation. In the reminder of the presentation, I will open Slack from my PC, and Tomasz will be able to follow up. So Tomasz, stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you, Michał, for the warm welcome. I was not expecting that, so I'm really surprised. Thank you very much, and welcome everyone on today's session. I don't see how many people are attending right now, but I guess we have plenty of people. I see right now 113. So welcome. Within the next 40 minutes, I would like to present you my findings that I did. As Michał said, this is 20 years since Agile Manifesto was created, and also 10 years that Agile Swarming was born. So I think that's a very good moment to share some thoughts. From the technical perspective, I will just start sharing my screen. So I would ask you to just let me know if you see my screen. All right, should be there. Is it visible, Michał?
It's there.
Okay, perfect.
Oh.
Okay. Now you should hear me, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So let's jump straight into it. So we are here to talk about 20 years, and 20 years of Agile Manifesto, as Michał mentioned. So today I would like to give you the story, tell you the story. I would like to give you 3 models that you will be able to use in future Agile transformation and future setup. And if we have some time, I would like to share some experience that I have from doing the Agile transitions and Agile transformations. So let me begin with the story, the Utah story. So it was lazy Friday evening when Ken told to Jeff, let's jump into this beautiful car going up to the hill of Snowbird Resort, and let's have a last ride for today. We have some work to be done, right? And Jeff said, yes, that's right. Let's head back to the hotel. So the last ride was about to finish in this place in the hotel. When they finished the ride, then they grabbed some coffee, they grabbed some dinner, and together with the 15 colleagues, they gathered together in the basement, in the conference room, very small conference room, to discuss the challenges that they are having while developing software and while managing companies who are producing software. So they had this beautiful place in the basement, and Ken told to Jeff that let's grab pen and let's write down all the things that we've come together on one board. And here is the actual board that those people created, and that's how Agile Manifesto started. Yes, it could be that way. Of course, that's just my imagination enhanced with some photos from their website. But we need to remember about this guy, Hirotaka Takeuchi. I hope that I'm pronouncing well his surname. And also this guy, Ikuirio Nonaka. That's more difficult. So those two guys actually were godfathers of the Scrum. To understand that, we need to come back to the year of 1986, when they created and published the paper, the new product development game. I guess that you've heard about it previously. And in this paper, that they mentioned sequential or overlapping phases of software development. And also they firstly used the word Scrum. They used the analogy to the rugby game, and they were talking about Scrum. So I think that's important to show that those two guys are really important in this conversation. So right now, I would like to take you to the journey through time, just to experience those 20 years, what happened during those 20 years. And in order to do that, we will have the vehicle that will take us there. The vehicle is the first model that I would like to show you today. It's technology adoption curve. This is also known as Diffusion of Innovation by Everett Rogers, and it's basically the curve of adopting the change. Here is this curve. This is not my picture, this is a resource on the bottom of the slide, so you can visit the page. And obviously, I will not be talking a lot about this model. It's a lot of knowledge, and I guess that you have workshops in the evening with Luisa and Dorota. They, I guess, will explain you a lot about it. For now, for this time travel, I just would like to show you the 5 group of people and the 5 period of time that we'll be traveling through. So the first one are the innovators. So those are the ones who invented, tech enthusiasts, we can say, who invented the idea of the change. It can be technology or organizational, whatever that means. Then we have visionaries, early adopters, who thinks that technology can work. Let's experiment with it. And they start to run the experiments, so the change is happening right now. Then they try to convince early majority of people in the society, in the group of, for example, organization. They are sort of pragmatists, but seeing the results of visionaries and tech enthusiasts, they can try. And on the right-hand side, we have conservatives and skeptics. Those people are really keen on see the results that this change is needed, is actually something that we need to do, because they like the work as it is right now. So we have those 5 groups. And the first that I would like to take you to the journey is the innovators. So basically everything that happened before Agile Manifesto, before the year of 2000. So we already talked about the new product development game. And after this, Jeff Sutherland in the 1993 became the chief engineer in the management board of the eCell company. And he introduced the very first Scrum team. That was the beginning. They didn't call it Agile transformation or Scrum transformation. They just started using it. And then in 1995, there was a conference, software objective-oriented conference in Texas, that Jeff and Ken officially published Scrum software development process paper. And in the same year, they had a conference in Uppsala, and that was the very first Scrum workshop. In 1995, though, Weimar company acquired eCell, and that was the very first management Scrum that Jeff proposed to the new board, new management in this Weimar company. And in 1996, there was a first Scrum in the large. Also, Jeff was talking about that in his paper that I will share at the end, and that was the just experiments. Yeah, and the last but not least, I think that the new name here, Kent Beck. Kent Beck was hired by Chrysler, and he came up with practices and techniques of extreme programming, and he even wrote the book about it. So that's the story. Definitely a lot of facts here, but the most importantly is for you to remember that there were the innovators that were experimenting even with scaling Scrum at the beginning. What was their lessons learned? Definitely, they had a vision and they had a growth mindset. Growth mindset is something that you can find in the internet. There is idea that you are open for innovations, open for new ways of working. You are open for learning, basically. So they started small, and they spread the word around conferences and tried to convince people by showing the results and outcomes. Then we have group early adopters starting 2000-ish and ending 2010. Of course, those days are just my guesstimates, so not to worry about the details, but definitely it is something that I see the pattern over here. So this is definitely the time of forming the Agile Alliance and forming Scrum Alliance. So in 2001, there was an Agile Alliance, and the 2002 Scrum Alliance was invented. And in 2003, the first Agile conference started in Utah. So basically those 17 guys came back to Utah, I guess not only for skiing this time, but for the real first Agile conference. And in 2009, there was a very first publish of Scrum Guide by Ken and Jeff. And of course, Scrum.org was invented at that time. So at that time, we had 3 main Agile alliances organizations. What's funny here is that in 2008, the mysterious CEO from Norway, because we don't have the name of this woman, but she told to Jeff, and that is documented in his paper, then that she saw the first revenue that was brought in the company by using Scrum. So very first proof that money-wise, it's also improving the companies. And the last but not least, I would like to share with you that in 2000 there was an Oregon gathering even before the Utah story that I mentioned. So before Utah story, all the guys or almost all the 17 guys gathered in Oregon 1 year later, or in the previous year, and then decided to go to Utah in 2001 and invent Agile Manifesto. So that's the story. Here are the companies. I'm not going to the details here, but just have a look, and maybe you can find your company in the early adopters group where you work for. And the lessons learned they had, it was very, very easy. So basically grassroots experiments, they were experimenting on the teams level, individual focus in the meaning of inner motivation. People were keen on trying something, so the motivation that they had was their inner motivation and focus on individual people. Our managers were not involved at that time. In the early majority group, we have basically 4 important milestones. The first, executive Scrum, run by Michael Holm in a systematic company. We have Ericsson Finland, who started using Scrum, and also Kent Beck introduced continuous delivery on the conference, not mentioning Scrum, but focusing on continuous delivery piece. I put Spotify over here, just for you to know that Spotify was experimenting with Scrum, or not with Scrum, with Agile, as you can guess, and there was even a Spotify model that was invented by Spotify. But the lessons learned from it is that the company can make a step back. So after some time, Spotify decided not to change this model. So that's why I'm showing it here to you, that this is definitely important, that you can experiment and then you can decide maybe the other way around can be better. Also, the lessons learned from the team focused to people are really important for the Agile and Scrum process, and Management 3.0 was introduced actually, by the way. So there were some side techniques that we can use to work with the teams. And leaders were definitely interested, but teams, even if you remember, there was a joke about chickens and pig and so on in the Agile world. So leaders were interested, wanted to join the teams, but teams were not so interested in binding leaders and managers to Scrum. And the late majority, just for you to know, some companies that were experimenting with scaling. So late majority means that we definitely saw, and there was a skeptics and opinions on the market that pure Scrum doesn't work in a large organization. So some framework to scale Scrum were invented, and you can have some companies on the slide using some different techniques like SAFe, LESS, D&D, and so on. Here are a lot of details. I'm not going to read all of them, just would like to show you that there are different scaling practices, and the data from the State of Scrum report from Scrum Alliance and Scrum Master Trend report from Scrum.org shows that various companies using various frameworks, but definitely SAFe is the one that is most popular. And on the right-hand side, you have the numbers that shows that not only one framework is used, but for 23% of companies, they use more than just one scaling framework. So what they learned from this late majority, that system level agility is needed. So some cross-team scaling framework needs to be invented. Middle management finally involved and sort of accepted. But on the other hand, people started to have external motivation, because the agile transformation was something that companies were trying to put on the people. So top-down approach. So motivation changed from inner motivation to external motivation. And that's why we are talking a lot in the companies about motivating people, motivating software developers, and various ways to do it. Okay, that's all about the history. I guess that's something that is behind us. But what's the future look like? So the future shows that I guess all of us, or most of us, are skeptics right now, and that's because of our pandemic that is happening right now. So last year we switched to online mode. Most of the companies switched to online mode, and that's something that there were some skeptics saying that, of course, it doesn't work, and so on and so on. Of course, at the beginning, people were maybe attracted by these new ways of working, but after the year, we see that we are exhausted. So in the past, and in our software development world, we know the agile world. We know that our market is dynamic, our requirements are unknown, we have complex problems to solve and to deliver, and we don't know how to correctly estimate that. We have some techniques, but it's still a challenge, and it will be the challenge, I guess, forever to have proper estimation for the software. On the other hand, when I mentioned to you about the pandemic, you may came across this word VUCA. VUCA world means that we are living in the very complex and ambiguity world. This is the acronym of those four words: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. quite difficult to read, but definitely something that we may experience during pandemic. We may feel that our world is not predictable anymore. So comparing those two words, we have software development world, which is dynamic and predictable, and we have our social world, VUCA world, which is also dynamic, unpredictable, and uncertain. So how to deal with that when we need to live in this year, next year, and we need to live with this pandemic? We don't know even how long it will last. So the answer that I would like to give you today is safety. And safety meaning not even safety, physical safety like distance, wearing masks and stuff like this. It's also something that Joseph mentioned before on his talk about psychological safety. Of course, we know from Google research that psychological safety for the team is one of the most important aspects of productivity of the team. So that's why I think that we need to focus on safety to somehow survive in this ambiguous world. And here's the second model that I would like to present you today that will give you the answer how to live in this ambiguous world. Is the model of Siegel and Bryson. And those guys are researching actually the field of the child development. So that's quite different one from software development, but I think that this matches really nice. And you may have heard about 3 zones that we as a people can be. We can be comfortable. We can feel comfortable. That's the green zone. The red zone is when we that's the zone of fight or flight. So we are stressed. We either would like to fight or flight. And the green zone, I see that it should be blue zone, of course, at the bottom. It's about freezing. So we are scared and we freeze. That's the question. What will happen when we will go out of this green zone? So as I mentioned, we can be in the red zone, we can be in the blue zone. And when we feel good, when we have this balance, and of course our mood can go up and down, but this green zone is a zone of comfort, right? So we need to maintain being here. That would be the best. Right, but what about leaving the comfort zone? Since ages we've heard about, hey, you need to leave your comfort zone in order to be successful, in order to have the passion, feel the fulfillment, and make your dreams come true. So coming back to this model, going out of the comfort zone, so green zone, is not getting us anywhere. We either will be exhausted or scared. And that's where the extension of this model is coming from. Extension is done by Agnieszka Stein and Gosia Stańczyk. For those of you who have the children, you might have heard about those 2 women. They basically work with the children and work on the matter of keeping children happy and healthy. And they introduced the 4th zone, the yellow zone. So when you compare this model with this one, the only change is that about this yellow zone. And that's actually give me the answer where we should go to leave our comfort zone. This yellow zone means that we are in very relaxed, comfortable situation. We either sleep or eat or feel very, very relaxed. And the green zone means that we still are relaxed. However, we are keen on self-development. So, for example, we are bored with laying on the sofa because we are right now, we have the energy. So we go somewhere to do something, to read a book, to learn something new. But expectations of us and the size of the challenge is not so big. So ultimately, if we would like to leave our comfort zone, that's the answer. Leave your comfort yellow zone to your comfort green zone when you can learn, develop, use new technologies, but you will not be afraid. And that's how we come back to our software development words, because I've heard a lot of discussions about team metrics, team KPIs, OKRs, objective key results, basically measuring and defining objectives and productivity measurement for the teams. And also I've heard from the teams a lot about the resistance. Oh, why do you need to measure it? We are improving anyway, you don't trust us and stuff like this. That's very challenging discussions. I guess that you may experience that in your work. And that's why we need to remember about psychological safety, because if psychological safety is in place, you could have agreement that team will track this metric. They will feel safe, they will feel in this green zone still, not attacked, not blamed by anyone, so they will be more tend to measure themselves. Here are the just little facts about the ability to measure and the appetite for measurement. So definitely a lot of companies, 39% of the companies would like to measure cycle time, waiting time, and so on. 33 end-to-end traceability. So there is a huge appetite on measurement, but there is no willingness to do it sometimes. And the reasons for adopting Agile, you can see that one of the most important reasons is increased productivity and enhanced delivery, predictability of the delivery. So then when you have these metrics, KPIs and OKRs, it will give you the information that you can use to assess your predictability of your team. And actually predictability, for me at least, it is basically safety. So if people are safe, they can be predictable, they can experience with the new technologies, but they can also mention about the risks and issues. So it's definitely connected. Predictability is definitely connected with safety, and safety unlocks predictability for me. So the future, for me at least, about Agile, the future of Agile is about being green, being in this green zone of comfort and development. And I called this new green Agile transformation that we can do with this knowledge. This is a very slightly different change, but definitely it may help the teams during the Agile transformation. And there's a third and the last model that I would like to show you today, the Gartner hype cycle. Sometimes it is used in our companies, so you may heard about it. It's basically the trend when you introduce the technology, a new technology, there's a technology trigger at the beginning. Then people are very excited. Oh my gosh, there will be new non-relational database that we'll be using instead of Oracle. Oh, yes, how cool is that? So the mood is going up, and then there's a something like, not depression, but very disillusionment that, oh, this shiny new database is not something that will help us what to do, and we are in a bad mood here. So this model is pretty obvious, I guess, but what is important here is to connect a model from Agnieszka Stein about those 4 zones and this model. So if you have 4 zones, if you remember from the past model, we can see that some of the colors will pop up in some time frames. So we can feel either arousal of this new technology, or we can fear that we will not be able to implement that. Then there's this depression about apathy and worry, that we are worried about new technology, or we can be bored. I did it 10 times, this new non-relational database, I'm not excited anymore. And then when we are going to this plateau of productivity, that's the green zone that I mentioned. So that's the 3 models that I would like to give you today to survive in this challenging environment. As you said, as you see here, there are 9 challenges from the report from Kim Dykert, Maria Pasivara, and Kasper Lesius. No, this is definitely hard to read, but definitely I will share the resource with you later on. So there is a report saying that there are a lot of challenges, but those 9 are the most critical ones. And we can see some patterns regarding the colors of the zones. So for example, lack of requirements understanding. That's the challenge, that if we don't understand what the work is, we either can freeze or be scared. So that's the blue one, right? Extensive enthusiasm, of course, that's great project, great product that we'll be building. And it can be too high, these expectations of enthusiasm. Resistance to change, definitely if someone is resistant, they step back, they freeze. Hierarchy can be seen as something that it's old-fashioned. People can be angry about putting a lot of hierarchy to the teams. So definitely, for me at least, it's a red. Complex multi-team relations, definitely. If we have a lot of teams and a lot of people in the teams and a lot of relationships, there are some frictions that people are fighting for their rights or their ways of working or the status quo. So definitely it can be red. Other functions unwilling to change. Definitely, if we have other functions than just software development in the organization, they sometimes not as enthusiastic about new ways of working as we are. So also they can be freezed about that. Rewarding model, not team-centric. Yeah, so we all know that rewarding models in the company, they are purely individual-centric, which has some pros, of course. But of course, when it comes to the team-centric, we are moving into the direction of team kudos, team appreciations, but definitely there is still work to be done here. And lack of empowerment, lack of investment, definitely something that I observed, and also in this report, those 3 authors observed as well. And they also wrote in the report about success factors. So 9 success factors which are answering those challenges, and most of them are in this green zone. So definitely learning, opportunity, manage expectations of us, of new technologies, enthusiasts, commitment to change, being committed to change, being transparent, engage everyone, had the mindset and team alignment, team autonomy. And there are 3 of them which are connected with this yellow zone, which is more tends to be this relaxed state. People tend to be in the relaxed state. So align the teams in the organization, organize social events. We have a lot of social events, right? This is because of that we would like to give those people feeling safety and relaxed without giving them any challenges. Start with a pilot team. So basically you find a pilot team which is ready and comfortable with the new technology and start with them. So they can be even in this yellow zone because they can already know how to do it. And coaching and mentoring, that's something that happens in a very peaceful environment. So that's also for me the yellow zone. So that's everything that I would like to give you for the future. You see the 3 models over here. Please remember about them, and feel free to use it, especially this model from Agnieszka Stein about yellow and green zone. Maintain first things first, yourself in the green zone, not doing one step more and accessing this red one, and maintain as well your team, pay attention to your team. And in the end, I would like to leave you with this quotation from Simon Sinek, that he said that working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. And working hard for something that we love is called passion. And for me, we only can love activities, love things that we feel comfortable, we feel safe, we feel that we develop ourselves, but we are in this green zone from this model. Thank you very much. And I guess we have some time for Q&A still.
Yeah, thank you, Tomasz. Thank you very much. When I look into Slack at the moment, there are no questions yet. so my proposal will be that we keep the Slack open throughout the entire conference, and I encourage everyone to submitting questions. If not now, then throughout the entire conference, and I'm sure Tomek will do his best to answer. So
definitely. What I would like to, if we have
hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. Can I will intercept your screen, Tomek, so don't worry. Because there we go. Can you guys see my screen and the Slack on it?
Yes, I can see at least.
Yeah, so Tomek, I propose that you basically try to comment on these on the comment from Marta. There's a question there.
Let me read that. Siegel showed us how our brain works and how to trigger creativity in the safety zone. But for action and development, we need stressors to stimulate our mind to adapt to VUCA. What is your point of view about combination of safety zone and the stressors? Yeah, very nice question. I was thinking about that actually. And for me, definitely we need discomfort and this zone that create the safety zone that creates that boosts creativity, but we need to have the purpose. And for me, the stressor in the, I don't like this word stressor, but the trigger of the energy and action is the purpose. If I have a purpose, for example, to present you this talk on the on today's conference, I had a stressor a little bit, I guess. So I was working, during the weekend after hours because I have a lot of other work to do, and that was the stressor for me. But that was comfortable stressor. So the goal, yeah, that I would like to show you something, and I hope that some of you will introduce this practice in the teams or in your life. So I would say it's about the meaning goal. If I feel meaning, I feel motivated, I feel stressed a little bit, but this is still in my comfort zone, if I may say that. Thank you, Marta, for that question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Agata, for the comment.
Okay, so that being said, there's another question.
How to deal with individual-centric reward approach while we want highly performing team in the same time? Yeah, that's the challenge that we have right now, because we still have in our corporations, in our software development world, we still have this model of yearly reviews, individual reward, and so on and so forth. So right now, I don't have the answer how to do it. What I do from my perspective, I convince C-levels and managers to more focus on the team rather than focus on the individual. And what is also triggers that's the team autonomy, but team accountability, AA, I would say. So team can be autonomous if only they feel accountable for the project or product. And if they feel accountable, management may tend to assess them during the year or reward them as a team because they are accountable for product. There is no one person accountable for more than the other. So I would say autonomy and accountability of the team. We have one more from Magda. I've heard that we've most creative when we are one foot in the green zone and the other foot ventures into the chaos. What's your opinion on that statement? Chaos. I would refer to the environment, the physical environment around me. For example, when I were preparing such talk, I'm in the chaos in the sense that there's no definition how to prepare it, right? So I need to come up with a way of preparing the content. I need to do the research. I need to collect this on the flip chart and then do the presentation. So I need to come up with I need to organize this chaos. So for me, that's something that when I'm in a green zone, I feel safe to experiment. For example, I will connect it with the time. When I wouldn't have time for organizing the kiosk, I wouldn't be so creative because I just have 1 hour to prepare this presentation. I need to go. When I have more time, kiosk it's good for me because I can organize kiosk and also see that's a different topic from different presentation, but be inspired but by totally different information outside even of software development. And time is connected with money in our companies, estimations, and requirements. So I would say that kiosk is fine as long as you have the time to use your creativity. Definitely very nice questions. I would love to talk about it with you. If only we could have face-to-face conference. Joseph, I apologize for being so direct, but this talk refers to criticism that we psychologists have about non-psychologists talking about our field. Let me read one more time because I think that's an important question, but I need to get it. I apologize for this being direct, but this talk reinforced the criticism that we psychologists have about non-psychologists talking about our field. Okay, I get it. Of course, if you are a psychologist, definitely you may have more broader knowledge. I'm just, an engineer. So I'm not talking about any, therapeutical methods or something like this. I'm just talking about my experiencing. What I experienced also as a coach, because I did a coaching school, and also I'm doing some nice reading in the psychology aspect. Even my wife, because by the way, my wife is a psychologist, so even she told me that I should go to proper psychology study to have broader knowledge and to refer Joseph to your side, that I would have this diploma in psychology. That's ahead of me, I guess. It's very nice, but right now I don't have time focusing on software development. But thank you, Joseph, for reminding me that that's something that I can still consider. Thanks.